Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to another review of Married at First Sight. So, decision day actually happened. It finally happened, and we got the results, and I was not surprised at all. Okay, so let's go ahead and sift through all of this information. How did you guys feel about the results? Were you surprised? Were your predictions on point, or were they not on point? And I would have to say my predictions were pretty much on point. I originally said that everyone was going to say yes, except for Alexis, and with Kristen and Mitch, I'm like, even if I felt like maybe they would give it another chance, but it would be a no later, like a solid no. So I was not surprised by the results. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our first couple, Lindy and Miguel. Lindy and Miguel, so they sat down and they discussed their fears, their strengths. There's always been a genuine love between the two of them, like a care, like a sweetness and a care between the two of them. Miguel has mentioned, I'm in love with her. I'm in love with Lindy. I'm in love with Lindy. He's like, I'm obsessed with you. He wrote that, I think it was a letter to her. And I thought that was so sweet. It might have been a poem. I thought that was so sweet. He really is very much, I think, in tune with that sensitive side of himself and expressing himself. I've always liked that about Miguel. With Lindy, she communicated her fears of him reacting and how maybe she feels tense at certain moments and she's not allowed to be herself. And I thought that was a really good point to make, because that's something we always want to check on is like, am I allowed to, like, do I feel like I can be myself in this connection? I'm like, if you can't be yourself, it's like, there's no point, right? There's no point because you can't be yourself. So I really like that she acknowledged that with him. All in all, they said yes, not surprised. Out of all the couples, I felt like they really enjoyed each other. They really enjoyed each other and they had a lot of fun. So anything else to add? I mean, the only thing that I really want Lindy to work on is her maturity. I didn't care for her reaction or her butting into the situation between Kristen and Mitch. I'm like, that's between the two of them. Please, like, I guess I personally, I don't really care for it when people tell other people what to do with their relationship. Like, I'm commenting, but they're just suggestions, their advice. If I were to be there in person, I wouldn't just blurt out, what I felt or what I was thinking. And I most certainly wouldn't blurt out something to split two people and say, oh, no, you don't do that, girl. You do what you need. As passionate as you feel, that's still this person's partner. And you have to be attuned and sensitive to that. So to me, that speaks to a lot of immaturity. It almost feels like, high school? So when I see women get involved in drama like that, the thing is, it is kind of natural for us. We are natural gossipers because we like to talk, and we're very much relationship obsessed, very much relationship oriented. So we're always curious, like, what's going on in your relationship? What's going on in, I like watching the show because it's a way for me to, I think, experience drama without inviting it into my own life. But it's also just a way for me to observe other people and how they respond and how they react to certain things and like what's healthy and what's not healthy. I personally feel she just has a reactive way of being, and that's going to translate into her marriage. So, Miguel has expressed that he's concerned about that, right? Apparently she rates her outbursts as like small little outbursts. And it was so funny because me and my mom were joking. We're like, hold on a minute. She calls them outbursts, or we were calling them something. They felt like more dramatic. And my dad was like, no, it's not that dramatic. And me and my mom just looked at my dad like, it's dramatic though. It is dramatic. So that drama, unfortunately, is going to be brought continuously into your relationship. Hopefully, they find a way to manage. She has some really endearing, cute qualities. Like, she has actually some great qualities. She's very feminine and sweet and very playful. And that's such a magnetic quality to have as a woman. It makes you so attractive. That's why he's obsessed with her. He did admit he has some inner work to do. He has some healing to do, some childhood wounds and trauma to work through, and hopefully he continues to do that. But since the beginning, the one thing I've always appreciated about Lindy is when she's committed, she's committed. And she admitted from the beginning, I'm committed to this man. I'm committed to this man. So they're committed. I think they're going to fight through it. I really think they are. And I think as long as they get a little bit of like a third party, like an advisor or like a counselor advisor, like it's a financial advisor. If they get some kind of like couples therapist or couple counselor to help them with conflict, to help them with those like outbursts of emotions and just processing more of those emotions. What I think she really needs is to see a therapist, really, to like find a way to release those energies, because it's not your partner's job to fix you ever. They're not here to fix you. Even if, yes, we're here to support each other, but it feels very empowering, not only for you, but for your partner, to just trust that they know what they need to do or that they can figure it out. You're just there to be a support system for them, to see, you know, if they need that additional aid or advice, you're there for them. But I think independence is it's just such a quality. I think it makes a partnership really thrive. Allowing a person to make their own choices, make their own decisions, be independent. I don't know. There's nothing else to say about it. It's like once we start trying to control or puppet master someone into being like, no, you need to do it like this, and feeding them lines, it becomes so unattractive and not enjoyable for either party. So I think they're going to figure it out. There's a genuine attraction between the two of them. They just need to sift through some of those things. And that's going to take years. You know, childhood trauma, inner work healing, that takes years to do. And the way that relationships work energetically, if you'll notice, you attract people who match your wounds. So if you're in a place where you still have certain wounds or insecurities, just be aware when you go searching for that partner, you're going to find someone who matches that, which is perfectly fine. Just make sure you cultivate the tools so you're ready to go on that adventure. Just know that whatever insecurities and flaws you have, it's going to be reflected into your partner too. They're going to be going through their version of those like traumas and insecurities. And so just make sure you can support yourself. If you are in a space where you can support yourself, then you can support your partner. But it never helps. It never really works to like lean so heavily on a partner and be like, well, I'm just going to lean on you and just like hope that you can help me through this. I'm like, girl, you are going to have to figure out how to hold yourself up and find a way to work through a lot of that stuff. It's great to get advice and use your partner essentially as an advisor, like an advisor, part of your advising team to like how you can make better decisions. But I think it's just so wonderful for a partner to just trust you to make intelligent decisions for yourself. Like, oh, I trust that you can make intelligent decisions for yourself. You're a grown person. I'm going to let you be you. Okay, so let's move on to our next couple, which is going to be Kristen and Mitch. Kristen and Mitch. Okay. Yeah, guys, I'm not surprised at this one. Not surprised that Mitch said no. And then Kristen said she wanted the divorce too. But then she's like, but the door is cracked open, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, girl, I don't think she has figured it out yet. I think she's so caught up in that pattern because she keeps finding herself in this space of, I'm done with this guy. I'm going to close the door. So I'm like, when you keep finding yourself back and forth between like, one moment you're like, oh, I'm leaving the door open for possibilities. And then another moment, oh, the door's closed. I'm like, you haven't decided what you want. You haven't decided. So several times I felt like Kristen has looked to Mitch to kind of change his mind when I feel like his mind was decided from day one. But she's been trying to persuade and convince him since the beginning of this marriage that she's worth fighting for. If you feel the need to persuade or convince your partner that you are worth fighting for, they are not for you. Because real love don't need no convincing, or real commitment. Let's say that. Real commitment doesn't need convincing. Real, even if it's infatuation, even if it's just the beginning and they're chasing you. You shouldn't convince a guy to chase you. You shouldn't have to feel like you have to convince a guy. That is really bizarre to me. First of all, it's going to beat away at your self-esteem as a woman. It's going to deplete your self-esteem. Not only that, it's going to get you into the habit of thinking you're worth less without you realizing it. So you're going to just naturally fall into these patterns of just finding guys who half commit because you're always overcompensating. And then you're having this tug of war where you're like, oh no, because you're trying to overcompensate. You're trying to persuade him to think like, this is the relationship he should be in. And I feel like she was doing that this entire time while also saying, oh no, I don't think she ever really truly believed or understood her worth. If she understood her worth, she wouldn't have offered a door or a possibility, or like, well, if he's interested later, who cares? He said no. I'm like, the minute he says no, on to the next. The minute he said not attracted, on to the next. I appreciate her commitment, and I question where that comes from. That's what we should be asking. I want to know, where is that, this need to like commit to things that it's kind of a violent analogy. What is it? Something about beating a dead horse? It's kind of her thing. Like, she keeps going for it and going for it. When I'm like, girl, it was obvious to us, him, her, them, that it was the attraction for him. You're not his type. But energetically, I feel like something is off here, because it's a pattern that's played out in her relationships, where she's having to overcompensate and like persuade the guy that she's worth it, right? Paying for her own wedding ring with her card, paying for her dream destination wedding with her savings. Like, what is going on there? What's going on? And at the core, it's a lack of self-worth. Something there. At the core, it is. She's just convincing herself otherwise. Kristen, you're too nice. You're too nice, and you need to go learn your pricelessness. You need to go learn that you're a diamond. You know, you're unaffordable. And the one who's really deserving of your attention and time the right guy is going to come. But first you need to align yourself with that energetically. So I would say, she said something about this before. She said, it's better to be in a relationship than being single. And I'm just like, what? Both of them are great. That's the thing. It's not one's better than the other. Both are great. Being single is fantastic. It's beautiful. It's such a freeing experience. It's so liberating, learning about yourself, being 1000% so selfish, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. Not only that, because you're owning it and you're enjoying yourself, people are still there for you. They're not going to be looking to you like, why are you being so selfish? You know, that used to be the thing. When I started being unapologetically selfish about enjoying whatever I like to enjoy, like being by myself, being introverted, being in my own world, people stopped asking me, why am I so selfish? They just like, oh, hey, we miss you. How are you doing? Because I just started to learn how to enjoy being by myself, right? I'm having fun here. I'm having fun. Being single is just as fun. It's not one is better than the other. Being single is just as fun as being in a relationship. So both are great. Both are great. You know, one, you have a partner in crime and your best friend and whatever other qualities you're looking for in a partner. But another, it's like it's like freedom. It's like, I just get to daze around. Because in a relationship, there's an obligation, there's a responsibility you have to live up to, especially marriage. Marriage is essentially a responsibility, right? I'm responsible to you. I need to make sure you're doing okay. I need to check in on you. Of course, when you're with your best friend and your partner is someone who you genuinely enjoy being around, that's like the best thing in the world. So I think Kristen has a beautiful heart. I love that she's so giving and so kind, but she is too giving. Too giving. She needs to go figure out what her true worth is. Really understand what that is. And I would say practically go see a dating coach, or just go spend time by yourself until you get to the point where you're like in love with being single. And then go find your partner, and then go dating, or set out an intention or write a love list about the partner you're looking for in your life. But otherwise, don't go trying to make it or create it. A lot of it involves so much trust. And with me personally, I'll just share a little snippet. In my relationship with God and prayer and tapping into like spirituality, my guidance that I've always sensed and have been given is that there was so much inner work I had to do to attract the right partnership that I'm looking for. So I was like, I didn't see it before. Before I was just like, it wasn't really because I wanted a relationship. I was just like, oh, everyone's saying I should date. Maybe I should date. So I kept getting in my head about it. But a huge part of me was like, I think I need to like heal. I think I need to like work on myself. And I'm so glad I did. And now I understood why God was like, no. He was like, no. He was like, no. I could feel it in my body. And I'm very much into talking to my guides and reaching out to my guides. And they're just like, no, not right now. You need to focus on you. And so I'm so happy I did that, because I am genuinely happy. I was like driving my car today and I was like, whoa, I'm actually happy. That's so weird. Like, I don't know. Because I was like happy about nothing. Something made me smile, and then I was just like, wait, why am I happy again? So it's simple things like that. Okay, so when they were at the table and they were discussing with the women, she was talking about having the door open. That's when I knew, like, right away. I was just like, what? Why are you opening the door? He essentially said, Mitch said, you deserve better and you want more. And still she's like, but I'll take you, or I'll take you back, or something like that. No, girl, you shouldn't have to convince it or make it easy for whatever. You don't have to do any of that. Girl, women, you do not have to do any of that. He should be chasing you, okay? Especially if you're the feminine. It should feel like a natural receptivity. You don't have to convince them. Men will recognize your worth. They will recognize it. So part of that might have to do with like the chasing, the need to, like, I want you, or I'm going to chase you, or very much this is a part of like Western culture, and women tapped into like an excess of masculine energy without realizing it. I know they're doing it without realizing it. They're like, I don't understand. Why won't he chase me? And I'm like, because you're doing too much. Just let him come to you. Just go have fun by yourself, and go learn about yourself. Go do things that fulfill you and find your passions. Yeah, you shouldn't have to convince, because it's in their nature to provide, to protect, and to chase. It's in their DNA, just as it's in your DNA to relax and receive. That's why it's not natural. Like when you're chasing a guy, especially if he embodies a lot of masculine energy, he's going to pull away, even if he is attracted to you. Okay, so let's move on to, well, yeah, Chris and Mitch. Let me talk about the last part. So they were sitting at the final dinner, talking amongst each other, and Alexia and Lindy decided, sorry, I keep calling her Alexia. Alexis and Lindy decided to butt into the conversation about this couple. They're like, girl, close the door. I'm like, I would leave her be. And I would also pull her aside, because just as Mitch was saying, they do keep making him out to be the bad guy, because he's just doing what feels natural to him. He's been saying this since day one. This is not for me. We want two different lifestyles. You want a whole different person. You want to change me. You want more. And I can't give you that. I can't give you that. It's as simple as that. There's no complication. And I'm like, she's going to end up with a broken heart if you're trying to convince him that he's in the wrong. I'm just like, people don't think. They don't read between the lines. Part of that has to be they're not seeing things clearly. Both Lindy and Alexis have issues in regards to their own connections. And I'm like, if you're going to really get advice about whether you should stay in a long committed partnership, get it from someone who's either in support of your highest good, or get it from a objective third party, like a therapist, maybe. Actually, I don't even know. Just talk to it. A therapist would just encourage you to think for yourself. And honestly, any person who's really trying to help you would encourage you to think for yourself and just help you get to the point that you need to see in your heart. Or get advice from someone who is in a happy, committed partnership. Please. Because that scene pissed me off. Okay, because several times people have said, oh, there's something wrong with Mitch. Yes, Mitch is who Mitch is, but Mitch hasn't been trying to be anyone else this entire show. He's not insincere. He is too honest sometimes. He has to learn certain things, decorum or whatever, in his partnership. Yet at the same, like etiquette, there's certain etiquette things he needs to learn in his relationship. But for the most part, he knows exactly what he wants. It gets confusing when someone says, well, I'll leave the door open for you. Well, now he looks like the bad guy, even though he just said during the ending Decision Day ceremony, this is not going to work for me. Even though he just said that. But now you're making him out to look like the bad guy. He knows exactly what he wants, or what feels right or natural to him. So that just kind of pisses me off. And even with the expert, It just pisses me off, guys. It does. Personal opinion. And then the experts too, they're all like, I don't understand. Well, what did you think was going to happen when you put an environmentalist together, like an overly passionate environmentalist with a worldly woman who likes to, like, you know, wear a lot of makeup and just do her thing? What did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen? Come on. Okay, that's them. I wish the best for the both of them. I think they should have a genuine friendship. Again, I don't think Kristen knows what she wants, because she was saying, we're just going to close the door. And then she, in the next scene, she's like, hey, will you watch my dog when I go on vacation? This is what I'm talking about. Boundaries. Where are your boundaries? You know, and people are looking to men. They're like, he's not respecting my boundaries. Did you put up any boundaries? Because people will feel your boundaries. Not only that, they're going to respect them when you actually have them. It's a felt experience. So if you're not putting up or erecting any kind of boundaries, what do you think is going to happen? Just saying, well, I guess I'm just going to close the door. I'm like, 2 minutes ago, you weren't closing the door. So something energetically, it's going to require like consistent like therapy or journaling or self-awareness. There's some self-awareness that is majorly not there here. And self-awareness in general is just such a powerful tool that all of the couples, every single human being absolutely needs to get through any kind of hardship. Okay, moving on. With Mitch, I feel like he's doing fine. He did exactly the thing I felt I could feel. I could sense. That's how he was feeling. We could see it from day one, right? Attraction is important for men. Let's just say that again. Attraction is very important for them. But the lifestyle too. I feel like he was willing to make amends. But yes, I think there's some attraction missing. Quite obviously, he said it many times. And then there was also the lifestyle as well. Okay, so moving on to our next couple, which is, let's do Alexis and Justin. So Alexis and Justin said yes. Now, we all thought, my family, we all thought that she was going to say no. And we ended up being right. Because she said yes. And Justin, we all knew from the beginning, like even with all the dysfunctionality and the lack of emotional stability in their partnership and in their connection, we always felt that he was going to say yes. Because he's very attracted to her. And not only that, she gives him confusing signals. She does. We have to talk about this. So later on, after they said yes, the two of them immediately got into an argument. Now, Alexis, she said she's logical. She says she's logical. She's not logical. No. Not at all. That is not what logical looks like, sounds like, or feels like. None of that. That is not logical at all. What that is, that's reactivity. What do you think reactivity comes from, guys? Do you think that reactivity comes from logic? No, reactivity comes from your emotions, your emotional pain body, your impulses, unhealed wounds. Why is it when he's talking, immediately she has to defend herself and make a point and like correct him? Hold on, little boy. Do you hear that tone in her voice? Let me correct you. So when a couple gets into this, like, I'm going to punish you, or I'm going to act like your mother, or I'm going to act like your father, immediately it creates a power imbalance, right? There's egos butting here. When Alexis and Justin are talking, egos are butting. Justin immediately, it's been the same thing for him since day one. He's emotional. He gets into these emotional reactions where he's just like, oh, well, now I'm upset. Oh, now you changed your mind? Yes, it's childish, you know, for him to be calling her out like that and doing this and doing that. But he's picking up on the right cues. She isn't consistent. But at the same time, that's the issue with being with, I almost want to say with being with someone who's too sensitive, but that's not true. That's the issue when someone who's sensitive doesn't emotionally stabilize themselves and apply more self-awareness. He's in emotional reactivity all the time, right? He acts from his emotions all the time. He was saying with the experts, I live in my head and I need to stop doing that. You live in your emotions. You live in your emotions. Sure, we live in our heads, but you most definitely live in your emotions because you're reacting, not responding. Yeah, I think it is for best that the two of them not be together, just because they both have so much work to do. It's just going to be like an extra drag. Like every time I'm hearing them talk, I'm just like, stop. It's like a train crash, because it's like it goes and it just keeps going. And I'm just like, please pause. So we need to find our pause. I feel like I'm just judging right now. I don't know. It felt like that for a second there. My observer is kicking in right now. So with Alexis and Justin, I think they just need to do more additional inner work with themselves first before they're in a partnership, just because they're in reactivity all the time. It makes me really sad, though. I mean, I'm not like super sad. I'm just like disappointed, because they had such a beautiful thing going on. But the minute those inner child wounds and that trauma kicked in, it was like, fend for yourself. We are not on the same team. It's you against me. You held your dog against me. Oh, well, you just changed your mind. You know, they're just like tick, tack, points against each other. And that is sad. But I'm not deluded into thinking Alexis did not play a part. She's most definitely playing a part in this connection. She is very much emotionally involved and reactive, and feels a need to tell Justin or put Justin in his place as often as she can. That's not going to work for a partnership, or we're seen as equals. She feels the need to tell him what he's doing wrong all the time and how he's doing it wrong and whatnot. And she holds grudges. So with Alexis, there's a major lack of self-awareness. You know, at least Justin knows he's emotional and reactive and he can catch it. But with Alexis, there's this like I'm better than you kind of attitude, when the irony is she's on the same level. You're actually on the same level as him, because by feeling the need to one up him and push him down or put him in his spot, you just put yourself at the exact same spot. You didn't make yourself look better, sound better, nothing. Because the minute you decide you want to go the extra mile to put your partner down, it's a losing game, as far as I'm concerned. Either we bring self-awareness to this connection or we don't. Either we grow up or we don't. That's what's gonna help. Like Lindy and Miguel, they are a little bit more mature in the commitment, whereas Alexis and Justin are not. I think Justin has this desire for commitment and he's all for it, even if it's like emotionally unstable. And I think part of it honestly has to do with his need to work on his own self-worth, because he has a lot of insecurities that kept getting triggered. He's like, oh, you don't want to be with me, you don't desire me. That, even though, yes, I think that was true, I don't think she was desiring him as much as she could have. At the same time, his insecurities were getting triggered. So just work on that confidence within yourself. If you feel like you're not being desired, end this partnership and go figure out how to feel desirable for yourself, and not desirable in your partnership or desirable just because someone desires you. Catch it early on. I think that is important, is catch it early on. If you feel like your partner isn't making you feel desired, catch it early on and just try to think about whether this is something you can put up for the rest of your marriage. Think about whether your partner has a habit to punish you, right? They want to punish you, put you in your place. All of these things are not great. So either we have these discussions, we develop more self-awareness, or we don't. And I feel like all the discussions that Alexis and Justin were having, there was no self-awareness being developed. They weren't learning anything. They were still getting back into the same patterns, the same habits. Okay, so that is all I have to say about Alexis and Justin. Hopefully they do more of their work separately. If they decide they want to be together in the future, they are grown people. They can decide for themselves what they want, and I hope the best for them. Moving on to our final couple, Stasia and Nate. Now, Stasia and Nate, I was actually really excited for. I think they're such a cute couple. I really just want them to stay together. However, the thing that's really working to their disadvantage is Stasia's perception is a bit warped. It's a bit warped. So now Nate, I I'm sure has some issues, and I'm sure he has reacted, and he has some immaturity things to work through. I still feel though that she's too hard on him, or too harsh on him. I appreciate his desire to want to keep working. I think they just have some really cute moments, but I feel like Stasia majorly has some self-sabotage behavior she needs to work on. Nate for sure has to work on his fears that come up and his triggers that come up. For the most part, I feel like it's a lot of Stasia having to do more inner work and like self-awareness work, because she's just said things about him that I'm like, I don't really get. You know, it just feels too judgmental or too harsh. Like when she's talking about how he's reactive, and she said something about, okay, the thing is, yes, I think she was right, because he did say something about he has like a trigger or a fear around having kids, right? That's his thing, and he has to work through that. And the thing is, she really wants kids, so that's actually a very painful, I'd imagine that's a very painful thing that she needs to work through with him. Like she really needs to figure this out because she really wants kids. So that's Nate's thing, is getting through that experience. But with Stasia, I'm just a little bit, I'm concerned, because I do feel like her perception of Nate is very warped. I still feel like there's something there I can't quite put my finger on. That's why I'm talking like this. I feel like there's something majorly unhealed. I don't know what happened. I don't think she ever talked about it. Even though Nate has gone through his own trauma, hers feels quite intense too. Maybe it was her relationship with her dad, perhaps, that caused the rift within her. But the minute she said, "I'm a lot and I hope he can handle that," I was just like, oh no. Oh no, if there isn't a self-sabotage statement, if I hadn't heard of a self-sabotage, yeah, that is the ultimate self-sabotage statement, is I'm a lot and I hope he can deal with it. I'm just like, why do you think you're a lot? A lot also translates into I'm not deserving, I'm not worthy. So you're going to project a lot of things. And that's the thing with Stasia and Nate, is like, I feel like she projects a lot of things onto him that aren't there, and he's reacting to that. So my hope is that she starts to gain a little bit more self-awareness. Honestly, a lot of self-awareness. Because kind of like Alexis, I feel like she thinks she's right a lot of the time. She thinks she's right, or she thinks she's very smart, or she's the right one. Her argument is right. And she's always looking at Nate like, he just doesn't get it. And I'm like, girl, you're confusing. You know, one minute you're saying he makes you feel desired. The next minute you're saying you don't feel desired. I'm confused. Like, okay, let me retrace. I know she said that he made her feel desired, but she said she didn't feel loved. So I was just like, okay, you feel desired, but you don't feel loved. And I'm like, isn't there steps here? That's my thing. Anyways, I feel like Stasia's wound feels like 16 years old, like a 16-year-old. I can almost like age it. Because you know how you talk to people and you're like, whoa, you sound like you're 5. You know, when they're like throwing a tantrum. I used to throw those tantrums, so. Like when someone sounds like a kid, you can tell like at what point something got blocked in their energetic field. Like, oh, that feels like I'm talking to your 5-year-old self, not your 32-year-old self. Stasia feels like I'm talking to her 16-year-old self, like a teenager sometimes, the way she processes her emotions. That's my only thing. I think they're super cute. I'm wishing the best for them. I love their vibe together. I really do. I enjoy their vibe. I enjoy seeing them connected, and they just seem so natural together. And I thought it was so interesting that Nate called her his twin flame. I'm like, oh, he said twin flame. First of all, he believes in zodiac signs because he had a Pisces on his arm. So I think he's a Pisces. But she said, or he said twin flame. And it's so funny because I don't really know what twin flames are. I think that's so interesting. All I know is everyone says it's like a karmic relationship. And I'm just like, sounds like a interesting challenge right there. But essentially, I gather that a twin flame is someone who, you know, you have this like connection with. They almost feel like your other half, yet at the same time you guys bring out a lot of the shadow of within each other. I'm like, that might be every relationship ever. I don't know if that has to be a twin flame, but maybe twin flames are just a little bit more intense. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that it sounds dangerous. So anytime I hear twin flame, I'm like, oh, maybe we should skip over that one, because that sounds dangerous. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end my review. Guys, what did you guys think? I will be back for the reunion, of course. And once the reunions are finished, as you guys know, I will be ending my seasons with Married at First Sight. It's time for me to focus on new endeavors, new projects, new passions that are calling to me, calling to my heart right now. But this show, I'm so appreciative. I've been watching the show since season 1. We're on season 15. That's crazy. Oh my God, we're on season 15. I've watched every season. I think there was one season where I missed like 3 episodes in the beginning. And it was the season with some of the most successful couples too. But was it Danny and I don't remember their names. But I've watched every season, and it's taught me so much about relationships. And that is the thing that I love about this show. It really teaches you what are real relationships like, because there's so many shows out there, I mean, no offense, that are kind of like trashy. No offense. They're all entertaining. I get why they're on TV. Believe me, I can sit in front of a television and be like, wow, this is really entertaining, even if it's a little trashy. Anyways, I always felt like Married at First Sight was not trashy. I always thought they were a classy version of seeing people have relationships. And it taught me so much about relationships. So I'm so grateful for the show. And I feel like I've grown up with the show. It's taught me so much. And it's taught me so much about myself, more importantly, and how to behave and react. It's taught me a lot about feminine and masculine energy and how it actually works. So I take what I learned from these shows and I record it in my thoughts, in my journal, and then I apply it to my real life, because I want to figure out, at the core, I'm here for myself, okay? I want to figure out how can I do things better for myself. So yes, love it. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you guys, Married at First Sight fans. Continue on with your beautiful lives, enjoying your life, and hopefully cultivating like beautiful, healthy, harmonious relationships moving on into the future. If you guys want to enjoy my new series, Worthy, Flirty, and Thriving, on this channel currently, that is what I'm creating. And I will continue to bust out content for this series that I'm currently really passionate about. So essentially in this series, let me just talk about it really quick. I'm just bringing my own personal experiences to the table, and I'm talking about the lessons I've learned. So it's a very much passion project right now. That's what I'm learning. Like, I listen to my heart and I just see, what am I feeling pulled towards? And that's what helps me to understand, where do I invest my time and my energy into? And I could feel for the Married at First Sight, I'm like, especially, did you guys see the preview for the next season? I'm like, I may still watch the show. It's like the one reality show I watch. But besides Love is Blind. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. The next season looks really messy. And every time they say more drama, I'm just less interested. I'm like, more drama? I don't want more drama. I want more harmonious connections. And I've seen people comment down below, well, we wouldn't watch it if there wasn't any drama, which is true. Like, I watch it for the drama too, but I genuinely want people to figure things out as well. All right, that is a lot of talk. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you have a beautiful day or evening. Like, subscribe to support the channel. Check out my other series. Have a beautiful day or evening.